What is going on? What is going on? What is going on? We are live for Monday's show, Nintendo News Daily. It's going to be a fun show today. I have thrown a few topics out in Discord. If you guys want to if you have any ideas for topics you want to cover during for these shows during the week, today's show I think is going to be kind of jam packed. Honestly, we got a number of news topics. One, there's kind of it's not even really a rumor. Well, I guess it's rumor. It's interesting. We're gonna get to it momentarily. Before we do, let's get to the intro. All right, so this is gonna be fun. Like I said, we got a lot of things to unpack here. We're gonna be talking a lot of Xbox, but also taking a deep dive into Switch 2's 4K upscaling potential, which I think will be make for some fun conversation. So jumping right in here, Johnny Bo just sent this to me in Discord or to our group in Discord and said, this is kind of interesting. Does this confirm mouse functionality? So this is from Switch 2 stock rumor/speculation. Nintendo Store added desk mat to Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. Does this confirm mouse functionality? Because we've seen plenty of leaks about the mouse functionality, and the video that Nintendo showed of Switch 2 looked like mouse functionality, but does this kind of confirm it? And does this also mean that mouse functionality will be added to some Switch 1 games? I don't know. Or do they just decide to do a mat for the fun of it? I don't know. I'm gonna take a little closer look at the picture here. So it looks like this might be like some pre-order bonus. This is stuff that you can get in the definitive edition in the UK. I don't think the States are getting anything. I don't think anyway. So it says microfiber screen cleaner. Keep your Wii U gamepad clean. Why are they calling this a mouse? Now that I'm digging deeper into why would they call this? Is this digging a little bit deeper into this thing? So let's go directly to the source. We got to go to the source because I'm a little bit confused now. Accept all the cookies. Here we go. So this looks like the mouse pad. That looked like they had grabbed a photo from the old, from the Wii U version of the game. And the cleaning cloth did look like a mouse pad, but I don't know. So here we go. Product details, one per customer. Let's go to product overview, definitive edition. Taking a look here. Yeah. So Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition desk mat. There is a desk mat, which, I mean, essentially that's a big mouse pad, right? That's kind of what this is. Play mode, TV mode, tabletop mode, handheld, paid online membership service. Interesting. Players 1 to 32. So they're bringing the multiplayer back, apparently. I have no clue how this works out. I'm excited to jump into it, but interesting that they're bringing a mat to Xenoblade Chronicles X. I mean, I assume a game like this would work well with the mouse, but still kind of interesting nonetheless. Taking a look at chat here. Welcome on in, everybody. So good to see you guys. I see Sunshine and Dylan, Cryptic, and few people just kind of lurking in the background. You guys are the best. Cryptic asks, I wonder how realistic this is. Unless you have a desk set up, how would this be used properly? Real talk, I have a Mario Kart mat. I also have a Super Mario Brothers mat. I've never taken them out of the box. They are still in the box. I've never pulled them out to use them. So that's the whole thing with the mouse functionality is like part of me thinks the reason they showed the Switch go almost flat with the kickstand is because maybe they're anticipating people putting the Switch like that when using the mouse. So you're kind of like just looking over it. But again, that's got to be on a table. That's got to be on some kind of a flat surface. We joked about it on the main NPC this week. Like, are you going to use the mouse on your thigh? Like, if you're sitting down, I'm very curious about all of this. I think there's some amazing possibilities here. And Cryptic, you asked the question in Discord about accessories, and I have an extensive video I'm going to do on just accessories, and then we're also going to break down accessories in one of these live shows together because I think there's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot to unpack, and as we unpack the 4K possibilities, we're going to be talking about different patents that have been filed by Nintendo, and that's going to also lead into this accessory conversation because I'm wondering if not only do we see, the mouse functionality become a thing, but just like we have NES, Super Nintendo, and N64 controllers, and technically GameCube controllers, thanks to Smash, will we see the resurgence of a Wii remote and the nunchuck if Wii games become something that are irregular? And we're going to talk more about that at the main part of the show. But interesting things nonetheless. So kind of exciting. Well, jumping over to my Nintendo news, Grant Kirkhope has zero hope of seeing a new Banjo-Kazooie game and says fans would hate it. So his tweet here says, I've said it before, but I have zero hope for another Banjo game. Plus, all you diehard fans would instantly hate it and slag it off no matter how good it was. It never works. And now, my only assumption here is that he worked on Nuts and Bolts. He's the composer behind the Banjo-Kazooie games. I don't know if he worked on Nuts and Bolts. Nuts and Bolts was it was fun. People enjoyed it. I remember my son, like he played the heck out of it. He loved the mechanics of building items and vehicles and stuff in Banjo-Kazooie, or with Banjo and Kazooie. I'm not sure why this guy, like, there seems like there's something something a little like more to this than just like, what, like, on the surface. Now, if you go to the article here, it says that he later apologized if he had offended any fans with his remarks. So, like, it just seems like a very emotional response. But I wonder what elicited that response. Like, what was happening, or what has happened? Maybe he just really loves the series, and he's bothered by the fact that it hasn't come back, isn't coming back. But saying that everybody would hate it if it did, like, I think in the hands of the right team, it could be fantastic. It just needs to be done well. So very strange. Very strange. Maybe he's stuck in the past a bit. Maybe he thinks that, like, only, there's too much nostalgia, and that that's it's like nostalgia for the old games means you won't like the new one. But I don't know. I think in the right hands, it could be done well. Sunshine says, I think it could be PR and emotional response. Yep. Sunshine also says, I enjoyed it when I played it, but wouldn't go back and play it again. Are we talking Nuts and Bolts, or are we talking just the regular games? See, I was never one that was very drawn to to Banjo and Kazooie. Like, Banjo didn't do much for me on the 64. Like, I don't know why. I was like, I don't know. It didn't feel like a Nintendo game to me. as strange as that might sound, and I just kind of wasn't all that interested. Okay, so nuts and bolts. I had played Donkey Kong 64, and then I played Ocarina of Time, and I just don't think I was it never really caught my attention. That's not to say it's like they're bad or anything like that. I know they're beloved by a lot of people. I totally get it, so I'm not speaking negatively of it. It just wasn't something that pulled me in. So I didn't have much nostalgia. The funniest thing about Banjo-Kazooie for me is that my son would play when my daughter was very young, and he would give her a second controller and tell her that she was Kazooie, even though she wasn't doing anything. And so that's just kind of been one of those fond memories that we talked about throughout the years. So anytime I see Banjo and Kazooie, there's good memories tied to that, So um but yeah, just kind of a strange response from Grant here about the game, because again, in the hands of the right team, I think they could make something amazing. And I think, I'm anticipating like a 3D Donkey Kong at some point. And again, I think we're gonna see that in the in the hands of very capable developers. And it's probably gonna be better than Donkey Kong 64 was, because I know that one's not loved by a ton of people. So um Sunshine says, haha, I did that to my little brother all the time when I would play. Worked every time. Oh yeah. Yeah. If you were the older sibling handing off the controller to the younger sibling that wasn't plugged in, um, it always worked out well. So I see Leo is here in the chat. What's going on? Good to see you. Good to see you. Well, Banjo's obviously kind of Xbox related, right? Um, we got a little more from the Xbox side of things. Xbox Head says they love the work we do um, with Nintendo, and so Phil Spencer was recently on Gamertag Radio, and my boy Paris was able to sit down with Phil here. And it says, so from the article, it says one of the interesting things that happened in the Switch era is how much Microsoft's Xbox division had warmed up to Nintendo. Xbox games they published, such as Cuphead, were eventually released on Nintendo's hybrid console. There has also been a lot of rumors that Microsoft is planning to bring its own first-party Xbox titles over to the Nintendo Switch 2. This multi-platform approach does not surprisingly, was one of the topics discussed in a Gamertag Radio interview with Xbox head Phil Spencer. At one point in the interview, Spencer talks about the future of Xbox games. He said that it does mean more of our games shipping on more platforms, not just PlayStation. We love the work we do with Nintendo. We love what we do with Valve on Steam. Our games will show up in more places, in more and more places. And then if you guys want to check out the interview that Gamertag Radio did, I do recommend it. Got some great stuff there chatting with Phil. But I mean, it's very obvious, right? Like Microsoft has been they've been I believe, do you guys remember early on when we saw like what is it, like Better to Play Together or something along those lines? And uh and we got to see the like an ad for Switch and Xbox in the same, in the same ad. And it was crazy. It was like, what is happening here? This is like if Sega and Nintendo teamed up in the 90s, and you're like, what is going on? Are we in the Twilight Zone here? Like what's going on? But it's been true. Cuphead was fantastic, and we've seen Ori make its way over, and other what is it, Grounded, right? There's plenty of Xbox games over on Switch, and if the rumors are true and we see games like the Master Chief Collection, I hope it opens the door for opportunities like for characters like Master Chief to be in Smash. I have talked about it at length, how I would love, one of the Smash character reveals, we hear the sound of a sticky grenade from Halo just kind of that little hum and whistle, and then just have it get tossed and stick right to Mario's nose, and you could just hear him be like, "Mamma mia," or whatever, and that is the entrance for Master Chief jumping into Smash. Like, I think it would be amazing. And I hope it happens, because it, like, there are a handful of characters that aren't in Smash yet that I would really really love to see there. Chief being high on that list. So I see Jenna is here as well. Let's go. Welcome on in. Leo says maybe you can play Fortnite without FPS drops on Switch too. I mean, there's a very real possibility that Fortnite's going to run much smoother on Switch 2 than it does on the current Switch, and probably won't look as much actually have some decent draw distance, unlike now where it's like I can't see anything once it gets too far away. Like, it's jarring going from like the Xbox Series X to a Switch. It's crazy how much you can't see. But I mean, it's still like there. I would love to see a breakdown somewhere. I don't know if it even exists of how many people play on Switch, because I know there are a lot of kids. I mean, my girlfriend's son plays Fortnite on his Switch daily. Like, I got him into it a couple months ago, and he loves it. He loves it. So, Cryptic says it would be cool to see, since Xbox is so nice with Nintendo, maybe Xbox can get an IP to work with Nintendo on a game. Yes. Yeah, and I mean, if you think about how many studios Microsoft has, if 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 they could do kind of like Ubisoft did with Sparks of Hope or Mario plus Rabbids, there could be something fantastic there. Like, no question in my mind. I'm just curious on what it would be, right? Like, and I'll be honest with you guys, part of me is secretly hoping that the new Perfect Dark makes its way to the Switch too. I don't know if it'll even be able to handle it. There's a good chance that it won't. But if it could, nothing would make me happier than playing Perfect Dark on a Nintendo system again. Like, I I, I would love it, because that Perfect Dark is one of my all-time favorites from the Nintendo 64. Like, one of my all-time faves. So, you know, and I mean, just kind of throwing it out there for you guys, what do you think, what do you think would be a good fit for Xbox, if they were to get some Nintendo IP? Like, one that comes to my mind right off the bat is, and I don't think Xbox owns the it was more of a second party deal, I think, but Crimson Skies. Imagine a Star Fox game like Crimson Skies. And I'll give you guys a quick if you're like, what's Crimson Skies? Because it's a much older game, but it was one of the most fun um games on Xbox Live. And it was dogfighting. It was dogfighting with like an alternate reality in like the 50s. So it was all like biplanes and whatnot. But it so if you've seen movies like The Rocketeer or something like that, it was kind of in that era. But it just controlled so well, like so well. So if and again, that's not really, it's not really. I think it was FASPA Studios, and so I don't know if they're even around anymore, or who has the license for that. But if if Xbox put a team together that could create a Star Fox game that played like Crimson Skies, yo, like, basically it would take Star Fox off rails, right? To where you could just fly everywhere, but it was just such a like classic arcade style. Like, the multiplayer was so good. Like, I believe it was like 12 on 12, or 6 on 6, like 12-player battles, and the dogfighting was just so good. You would play capture the flag. That set in the Star Fox universe with a variety of basically there was like I don't know six to eight different planes. It's been too long since I played it, but that basically a Star Fox skin over Crimson Skies would be amazing. Amazing. So Cryptic says it would be a change in direction, but a reboot of the Mother series with one of Xbox Western RPG studios. That could be very interesting as well. So, I mean, there's so many possibilities, so many options. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing like, maybe the team behind Cuphead doing something even with Mario, where it was uh Mario in that art style and the Cuphead art style. That would be so fun. Not necessarily the same gameplay, right? Where it's like really, really intense and very, very Contra-esque, but like just a 2D platformer, but drawn like that. Oh man, I think that would be so much fun. And then it's completely out of left field and probably could never happen, but the team, the teams that were behind Fable and having them do a Zelda game, I think could also be really, really cool. Especially with how close Nintendo works with these studios when they get a hold of the IP. It's not like they're just like, "Oh, here, have at it." Like, no, Nintendo makes sure that like they're doing something that uh, is on par with Nintendo's quality, which has been fantastic. So there's we could speculate forever, and some of it's way out in left field and will never happen. I mean, the team that's working on Fable is working on Fable, right? So they wouldn't be able to break away for something like that. But I even love the idea of like um you know switching things up, like if Metroid went to the Cuphead team, or maybe even the Ori team or something along those lines, where it was like not necessarily a mainline Metroid game, but just something filler until the team behind like Dread can get another game out there. I I love it. So Cryptic says, I know we talk Banjo and Conquer, but Nintendo can assist in reviving those franchises and put them in Mario Kart so they can get back to their roots. Yeah, and it's interesting, talking about like Banjo and Conquer. They're both in Diddy Kong Racing, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure they are. And I've been thinking a lot about Diddy Kong Racing, and it's like, you know, Xbox refers to that game now as Rare Racer, and so I wonder if they're ever going to do anything with that. I also wonder if Nintendo will ever do anything to kind of revive Diddy Kong Racing. Like, are we going to see it on Nintendo Switch Online? As popular as Donkey Kong is, like, would they want to make something that would then rival Mario Kart? What I was thinking is there's a very real possibility that we would get like a Diddy Kong themed world, if it is going to be like more open world. And I wonder if there would be a bunch of nods and throwbacks to Diddy Kong in the new Mario Kart, or to Diddy Kong Racing in the new Mario Kart. So I don't know. My mind was just kind of wandering today as I was thinking about that stuff. So Nadine Nay is here. What's going on? Sunshine says, would love to get Diddy Kong Racing with the new Switch. Absolutely. Absolutely. So moving on here. This is gonna be sad for my physical collectors. Okay. My physical collectors. US spending on a physical video games is now more than 85% below its 2008 peak. 85%. So we're going to get to the tweet here from Matt. I'm going to mess his name up, but I think it's Pixcatella, I think is how you say it. It says the rate of decline in US physical video game software spending accelerated in 2024. Spending on physical video game software in the US has been cut in more than half since 2021 and is now more than 85% below its 2008 peak. And we'll see if Switch 2 can help reverse this trend in 2025. I don't think it can. I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, even Nintendo themselves albeit the leader in physical media, they're probably going to be the last ones to go, right? Like walk into Target, Walmart, GameStop, like Xbox has got almost everything on Game Pass. So physical sales for those games way down. I know based on some of the things I see on X about like uh PlayStation fans buying physical, that still happens. But I mean, Nintendo's offering deals to go digital, right? Like it just we've seen the trends in media, starting with music, then into movies. I think I saw recently that Sony is doing away with the Blu-ray. Like the Blu-ray, like nobody's buying Blu-rays anymore. So and don't quote me on that. I'd have to look that up. But well, no, actually, it looks like that is accurate. Nate says, I saw Sony wants to discontinue Blu-rays. Yeah. So it's like Nintendo's kind of going to be the last one out there with these with carts as physical media. And I think especially with the hybrid system, if they continue, like let's say there's a Switch 3, if they continue with there's they're either going to have to put massive amounts of storage in the Switch 3 or continue on with physical media. Now, I mean, Nintendo has their museum. They I believe they truly understand the importance of the physical media, but it all is going to come down to bottom line, right? It all comes down to the margins and the bottom line. So what are they going to do moving forward? How long do we see physical media become a thing? So I got to back up on some of the comments here. Sunshine says I have it on my 64. I played it a couple weeks ago. So fun to bring back the nostalgia from being a kid. Talking about Diddy Kong Racing, I believe. Now back into the digital conversation from Sunshine. I feel like it's going to be obsolete over the years. They all want digital. I mean, you're talking about cutting a lot of overhead when you go all digital. Nate says, I hate the digital age. Sub to something or purchase things on cloud and trust it will be there. And it's the other day I was thinking about this, like, thinking about like the 3DS library and the Wii U, and it's like it's great if they're gonna leave those things up for us through the years, but then they take them away, and what do we get now? On the flip side of it, you see like Xbox is doing like a big Doom special edition for Doom, the Dark Ages or whatever, and we've seen other special editions come out, but then they don't launch with the disc. It's just a code for the game. And so it's we're just in interesting times. I mean, I bought the Nickelodeon I think it's called like All-Star Brawl or whatever 2 for my girlfriend's son. Didn't have the cart. It just had a code inside. Because again, it's overhead, right? So Dash says Nintendo still supports physical. Yeah, what we're talking about is the decrease in physical, how it's down 85% from its peak in 2008. And Dash also says people are still supporting physical heavily on Switch. So Dash also says, I think Nintendo will stick around and support physical, I think, longer than PS5 and Xbox One. Oh, 1,000%. We know going into Switch 2 that we're going to see carts. But again, Nintendo has even been pushing for more digital, offering deals when you go that route, So Cryptic says, I think casual fan bases like convenience more than ever, though physical media like Blu-ray offer better image quality or physical CDs offer better sound quality, but digital is good enough, right? Like, I mean, there's a lot of people that listen to Apple Music over Spotify because of lossless audio, right? Spotify has like the HD audio, but they still haven't got to lossless audio yet, although they've talked about it for years. So, and I mean, I fired up Madden the other day on cloud because I didn't have room for it on my Series X. And I only needed to play, like, I just played just for a little bit. I just wanted to kind of scratch that itch. And so there's some convenience there when you just have, when you have cloud and you don't need to install something. I didn't have to wait a long time to play. It was super convenient, but I'm never going to own another Madden game again unless it comes to Switch. I'll probably pick one up there. Nate says, is it really that more convenient to not get off the couch and change the disc? It's just that games are getting way too huge. And it, for me, like, I've been playing handheld far more often. And so if I want my physical games with me, I got to carry like my case around, essentially. Like, my case is just jam packed full of Switch games at the moment. And so honestly, I usually just play what I have digitally minus the one game I have in the Switch right now, which is Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. And so I mean, I've double dipped on games that I'm like, I know I will go back to these. All the Mario sports games, I double dipped on all of them because I'm like, I want these with me no matter where I'm at, if I'm traveling or whatever, whatever the case is. Uh, so I get it. I get the convenience thing, but I also see what Nate's saying. If you have it all, like, it just depends on your setup, right? And um, where you play. So, um, the the other thing I want to mention, guys, before we move to the last, like the main topic here, talking about 4K, Nintendo's having a huge sale. I did put out a video on TikTok, and I don't know if I've uploaded it to YouTube yet, but they've got all the Mario sports titles, Super Mario Brothers Deluxe, Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe, Monster Hunter is like $14.99. It is a huge sale, so make sure to go and check that out. Again, those are all going to be digital. So Dash says they will literally get less money from me if they ditch physical games. I think they will be an outcry after physical games are gone, and these game companies will likely bring it back like vinyl. There's a chance. There's a chance, we might see like physical games become more like collector's edition kind of thing. And again, I think even, we were talking about it. If you move into like the Switch 3, that would, it's going to depend on storage, right? And Nintendo's just going to be looking at they're going to be looking at their bottom line. Like, how many people are still buying physical outside of collectors? Granted, you're going to, the thing I think is one of the hardest pills to swallow. Do you guys remember how convenient it was back 10, 15 years ago when you could go and buy somebody a DVD, right? As like there was like kind of like filler Christmas gifts, if you will. DVDs were great. They would always have like big Black Friday sales. You get like a whole bunch of them for $5 each or whatever the case may be. Like, that was always kind of fun, right? Opening up a game on Christmas morning, that's something I've loved even being an adult, right? Like, I always love getting a game. Like, that's just the way it is. And to kind of have that go away, like we're giving V-Bucks away, or whatever. Here's eShop cards. Like, it's still fun, but you lose that just the fun of being able to open physical media, which is there's just some, and it's a lot of it's nostalgia, don't get me wrong. So taking a look here, Cryptic says physical indie games I will double dip just in case. It reminds me of the retro days. Oh yes. Nadine Nay says the wife bought Kirby and finished it, and now I'm playing through the cart of the same. She's playing Luigi's Mansion 3. That's what I'm going to miss. Yeah, and I mean that like right now, my copy of Donkey Kong Country Returns HD is in uh is in the 10-year-old's Switch. He's got it. He's playing through it. He came home from his dad's on Sunday and was like, "Oh, I'm at the factory level," like he's all stoked about it. Now I can't I like that means I didn't have it all weekend. And I just decided I would pick it back up again once he was done because when he starts a game, he does not stop. He goes hard. So that's it's one of those things, but on the flip side of that, Nate, my daughter has taken multiple copies of a few different hard copies of my games, and now she refers to them as her games. So I also am like she can't steal them if they're digital, right? So Jenna says I'm banning myself from the eShop. It's a borderline addiction. Yeah, and speaking of DVDs, Cryptic said stocking stuffers. I used to do that, right? It was just kind of fun to I mean, I remember having piles of DVDs around Christmas time, and then like after everybody opened everything, you'd throw on a new movie or whatever. So, um, Dash says, part of me wants to believe Nintendo will stick around to be the only games people see when they're at stores, and I think that's going to be the case this generation. I think I think you're going to walk into Target and you're still going to see Mario like at the top of the flagpole. And I mean, you walk into Target right now, you see a Lego, which is not even a Lego, a Mega Bloks Xbox 360, a Creeper fridge, a Xbox Series X refrigerator, a couple of games, right? And then all of the headsets that are there. You're seeing more accessories than anything else. So, Jenna says they are her games, right? Yeah, basically. Uh, did I get selected to go hands on with the Switch? I don't know. I could check my email right now and see if it's. I haven't seen anything come through yet. So, and my inbox is a bit of a mess right now. So, I'm not seeing anything as of yet. I'll have to check after and see. Let's find out live. Let's so if I sign in on Nintendo's on their on my Nintendo, I think maybe I could check that way. Maybe. I'm assuming if I didn't get the email that I didn't get in. But my like I said, my inbox is kind of a mess. Um so I'm sure I would end up having it. Did you get in then, Nate? Are you going? I'm looking real quick here and I'm guessing not. Unless it came earlier today. So my inbox, I just like I said, it's kind of a mess right now. Um, let's find out live, right? Cryptic says my main problem. I think the main problem with me on digital is that my library gets big and I dabble in my games instead of completing them. With physical, I feel like I have a commitment to sit down um, and beat it. So let's see. Dash says, I hope Nintendo fans continue to support physical throughout the Switch 2 life so that it's harder for them to make the decision to abandon it on the Switch 3. Yeah. And it's just it really depends because it's also not just it's not just the US, right? Like they've got the European market, the Japanese market. We know that in Japan, a lot of times like space is an issue. They sometimes live in smaller flats and things like that. So going all digital just saves them room as well. So um oh, you got a denied email. Okay. All right. Well, I haven't seen anything yet. Um so who knows? Maybe that's a good sign. Maybe. I'll have to keep looking though. So our last topic here is we're on Nintendo Life and Digital Foundry digs into the Switch 2's 4K upscaling potential as patents inspire more speculation. So there's a lot to dig into with this, and it's really cool stuff. Really, really cool stuff. I do recommend going and watching the video from Digital Foundry. It's a little over, it's like 16 minutes, and they go into a lot of details on this. We're gonna break a lot of it down through the article here. So it says years of leaks and rumors made Nintendo's official Switch 2 reveal feel more like a confirmation of what we already knew than a showcase full of surprises. That said, there's so much chatter out there before the reveal that there's still plenty of room for speculation, particularly when it comes to the patents that appeared in the run-up to Nintendo's trailer drop. Here to provide the technical rundown of uh, of it all are the experts over at Digital Foundry. The tech wizards recently dug into a patent suggesting that Switch 2 will utilize 4K AI upscaling technology, explaining what it could mean for the console and how Nintendo might put it into practice. Now, Digital Foundry actually shared the following video 2 weeks ago before the Switch 2's January 16th reveal, but Nintendo's trailer was far from a rundown of the upcoming console specs. It's still definitely of interest as we look for more details. So, um, getting into getting into it a little bit here. So, what we got, the patent in question was filed by Nintendo's European research and development team at the end of last year and outlines a similar AI upscaling process to NVIDIA's DLSS technology, transforming a game's lower internal resolution uh, to a higher upped resolution. The resolution numbers referred to throughout are about transferring 540p to 1080p, though the patent specifies that this is only an example and the technology could also be applied to higher resolutions like 1080p to 4K, something Switch 2 could utilize in its dock, for example. Continuing with the article here. So far, so DLSS, um, uh, but digital, let's see. For example, so far, so DLSS, but Digital Foundry explains that Nintendo's patent promises more than NVIDIA's alternative with references to upscaling via the cloud, single image upscaling, and more. A key difference is how the patent suggests it would be able to switch out of DLSS upscaling models in real time, so even more strenuous sequences where the usual upscale learning wouldn't be able to keep up can benefit from a boost while keeping up the frame rate. This is huge. This is huge because if you think back to the last consoles generation, like the Xbox and the PlayStation, one of the things I found to be so strange is that we still had instances where games were chugging. Games were not running, and I know a lot of it has to do with what I consider a huge misstep with Sony and Xbox. And I don't think it's necessarily their fault. I think a lot of it has to do with bad timing, right? We had the pandemic, we had chip shortages, we had supply chain issues, and so these companies still trying to make money, still trying to keep their fan base happy, having to release games on their older systems while they're trying to get the new systems out there. And it is it it was a lot of missteps. I think what we're going to see is, and I've said this before, is Nintendo is going to write the playbook on how to launch a new system and how to support their existing fan base while still, I hate the term, but like rewarding the early adopters of the Switch 2 with the games that are going, like, they need to make games specifically for Switch 2 and cannot cross-gen everything. They can't. They need to have that carrot being dangled. And the beauty of it is they can do that because they're not gonna have the supply issues, right? If the rumors are to be true and they're going to have 20 million Switch 2s available throughout the first fiscal year, they're they're setting themselves up to win. And personally, I believe, and we've heard like, again, more rumors that the Switch 2 was internally delayed. That does feel that way based on kind of like how like last year felt a little bit slower, and that maybe some of these games that were coming out were supposed to be cross-gen between the two systems, but were still very much made for the first Switch. And having that having that delay so that they can get the Switch into more people's hands, the Switch 2 into more people's hands, but then having games specifically made for this system so that it really rewards the people that are getting it early. But it's also, again, it's like everybody that's getting FOMO, if you will, from still just playing on their old Switch is gonna want to jump over. Like I go back and forth in my mind. Does Nintendo put the new Mario Kart on the OG Switch, or do they make it exclusive to Move systems? I go back and forth often. So uh Nate says, yeah, when Nintendo's first party games start chugging, it's time for the new. And we saw that. We saw that with Peach, Princess Peach Showtime, not the best showing. I even had some weird slowdowns in Mario Wonder the other day, and I don't know if it was just an isolated incident or if something was going on there. Um, so it's, like you when the news about your game is how poorly it runs, it's not the news you want out there, right? It makes me go back to thinking about like the Master Chief Collection when it launched on Xbox One. It did not run correctly for like multiple years. Like there were multiple years of this game not working. And I remember not only buying the game and then not having it work physically. I also ended up like getting. I think I had my Xbox One died or something, or I ended up getting a second one. Had the game digitally, still didn't work. Like it was one of the most ridiculous things not having this game run. And they just kind of be. It felt like at that time, like Xbox was kind of becoming the laughing stock of the gaming industry, and it's not a good look, and it can't happen, and Nintendo knows it, and I think they're taking the right steps to make sure it doesn't happen. So Cryptic says, yeah, I just want anything that can make games run smooth and look clearer. Xenoblade is my example for getting better image quality for the performance, and I feel like this can help Pokemon and the 2D Zelda engine. Yeah, and I mean, honestly, be completely honest with you guys. I'm playing Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition right now. I'm having a great time with it. But I will say that the world somewhat, especially compared to Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and the, probably 10 hours or so I put into 3, it feels a bit lifeless. There are times that I'm like, yo, I forget that this is a Wii game. This is a 3DS game. And I'm longing for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 to get back in and and have just more life. But even that, you still got these interesting draw distances, um because of like just how much the system can handle in that big open world space. So yeah, and Jenna's like, yeah, it's super dead, isn't it? I still love it though, and I'm still loving it too. But I am I don't know, there's part of me that it's like, okay, I want to wrap this one up and get back into the newer one. It's just what I'm feeling right now. So uh let's see. Dash says, I think it's a terrible idea talking about going cross-gen with like Mario Kart. Like you said, you need an incentive for people to jump to new hardware. Yes. My only, like, I kind of play the devil's advocate on this a little bit because I feel like Nintendo often gives themselves a pass with one game that they'll do cross-gen, Twilight Princess, Breath of the Wild. I don't know. I think that's the two main ones that come to mind anyway. But um, with as big as Mario Kart is, I could see them getting to the point with it where it's like, okay, it's cross gen for the next 2 years, but then there's going to be a big update that drops. And this happened in a game with like Destiny, where it was cross gen between 360 and Xbox One, and then they said it's no longer supported, you know, and that could end up being the case. I've also wondered and kicked around the idea, like, do they do like a free to play multiplayer for Mario Kart? And then the single player stuff and that 24 player stuff is exclusive to Switch too. There's so many things, right? Just so many things out there. So um Cryptic says, when Nintendo games aren't running well, it's a problem. They trademarked the Nintendo seal of quality, so I know they feel performance matters to them. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And Nate makes a really good point. Prime 4 might be the cross-gen game completely. It probably needs it far more than Mario Kart, right? We need people buying Metroid, so make sure that OG Switch owners can get a hold of it, as well as the people that buy Switch too. Um I'm just backing up here a little bit. Dash says, I think it's very short sighted to make Mario Kart 9 cross gen. I think, assuming it would even be possible on the Switch One hardware. Yeah, again, it's you have that huge install base minus wanting people to say, yo, there's 60 million people that bought 8 Deluxe that are probably hungry for the next game, right? And if they want to play it, they got to get the next console. So, but at the same time, 24 um, or 150 million Switches out there. There's a chance for a lot of sales on of Mario Kart 9 if it's cross gen. So it's just such a back and forth that I have, and I just kind of wonder how they're going to handle it. And I think they're going to handle it right, honestly. I don't have too many questions. So will the Nintendo Switch 2 come with an OLED? Evan Sawyer asks. Pearso dot. From everything I've seen, it's an LCD. And I don't think that is a bad thing. I mean, obviously everybody wants an OLED, but Nintendo loves to do their mid the mid life cycle refresh, and I think that's where the OLED will come into play, especially since it's bigger. I don't think this is Nintendo going, we're only doing this so that we can sell you another Switch in 3 to 4 years. I do think it is a cost cutting measure to keep the price of the Switch 2 lower, and to make it easier for people to get a hold of this system. We still don't know the price yet. There's a lot of stuff being tossed around. Some retailers are saying that they've had prices and whatnot. Um, so it's a lot up in the air there. Um, Cryptic says, do you think Mario Kart is going to be like Breath of the Wild, where there was more copies sold than systems, even though they were sold out? Yes. Yeah, especially if it's only Switch 2, I would be willing to bet that there are people that are going to be buying copies of Mario Kart 9 before they have the system. I um I do think that will end up happening. So jumping back over to the article here, and just talking about like upscaling and whatnot. It says much like the point that was made by the accessibility culture consultant Laura Kate Dale back when we first spotted the patent. Um, Batagilia, which is from Digital Foundry, also notes that the technology could be used to reduce game sizes and fit them onto Nintendo's comparatively smaller carts. Because I think right now, the biggest cart Nintendo offers is 32 gigs. And you've got games like in Call of Duty is upwards of 280 gigs. If that's going to end up coming, that's got Warzone, that's your current game, Black Ops 6, that kind of stuff. But that's still big. That's very, very big. So to be able to have those come in at to be 1080p versus 4K, you're talking about saving like gigs of space, which is huge. And they may have to do it a little bit differently. They may have to say like, hey, Warzone is a separate thing over here. Maybe you have some kind of a launcher. Like I don't know how they work it. We might also get the Switch version might be Warzone Mobile, which is still an incredible game and would be fantastic over there as well. So either way, I think it's a win-win. But having this opportunity for games to be 540p and then upscaled to 1080, that's going to be great for handheld because I think we're going to be sitting at like 1080 60 on handheld most of the time. Sign me up. I'm completely down with that. Like I think it's going to be fantastic. So in short, the patent is broad, hardly a first from Nintendo patents, but its overall message is that machine learning upscaling could occur either via cloud streaming or from the device itself, which is a rather exciting prospect. Um, Batagilia seemed confident after his initial analysis that this upscaling tech will be utilized in Switch 2, but as is always the case with patents, there's never any guarantee that we will see the contents come to fruition. Nintendo is prone to staking its claim early, and this DLSS-esque tech may simply be something it is working on in the background. Who knows? However, for those with an interest in all things tech, the following is still well worth a watch. And like I said earlier, check out the video from Digital Foundry because it's really good. Now, I mentioned in the beginning of the show, kind of talking about accessories and stuff like that. So this part of the article, this got me thinking to where, and then Cryptic brought it up in Discord. We're gonna do a whole episode. I'm gonna do a video just talking about accessories. We're gonna then do an episode kind of breaking down my video and chatting about like your guys' thoughts on this. I'm really excited about it. It'll happen. Let's shoot for Thursday. Will be the accessory live show. Okay, so that'll happen on Thursday. But check this out. It says so, and the patent speculation doesn't end there. Just last week, comicbook.com flagged a 2022 Nintendo patent, which recently resurfaced following its European application. This one was all about motion sensor technology, particularly how a sensor placed on top of a TV can register and interact with a handheld device. It has a faint whiff of something Wii related, or maybe something more in line with the Xbox Kinect. And the outlet speculated that such tech could be utilized in Switch 2 for more motion controlled gaming, a Wii library, perhaps. Much like the aforementioned upscaling note, just because a patent exists doesn't mean Nintendo is necessarily planning to use its contents on Switch 2. Sure, it would be fun for a little bit of Wii nostalgia, but who's really going to want to plonk another sensor on top of their TV? Not us. But back to waiting for more Switch 2 news, but we can know the console's features for sure. We guess come on Nintendo, right? Like everybody's ready for April 2nd. Like we want to know more about the system. That being said, this Wii related stuff is really what got me thinking about accessories. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, how would you guys feel if Nintendo Switch Online gets an update, Wii games get added to the library, GameCube, Wii games, if they end up selling, I don't know that we necessarily need a sensor bar. I don't think that would be the case. I think they could make a WiiCon, if you will, and they throw the tech of the Joy-Con into a Wii remote, throw a nunchuck on it, and play your Wii games exactly how you used to. It gives I think we're going to see Nintendo lean into accessories more than we've ever seen in any other generation this time around. I think, again, pure speculation, but I think that Nintendo, knowing that the majority of its fan base wants not only Wii games but DS, 3DS, GameCube, like the whole first party lineup, that we will see things potentially like a secondary screen for the Switch. That might be what the USB-C port is for on the top. Being able to play games the way they were designed, like they've done a good job with the Switch and using the Joy-Con similar to a Wii remote, but I know I would, for certain games, I would get a Wii remote and be able to play some of those old Wii games the same way. You know, Jenna said I would cry with joy. Like we have to remember, outside of their handheld systems, the Wii was Nintendo's like second most successful home console. And there's a huge fan base that is also, starting to come into that grew up with it. They're getting to that place where they're gonna have more disposable income, right? And uh Nintendo thinks about this stuff. They think about their generations and who's, getting into the workforce and can start spending more money. And those generation that generation it's starting to happen, right? And so just taking a look here, Cryptic says Wecon, LOL. That's actually a good name. I mean, I could just see him doing it, I could totally see him. I know they didn't name the 64 controller or the NES controller or the SNES controller, but I could just see them doing like, and it probably would just take the nunchuck would probably just be USB-C right into the back of the Wii remote, and you could just play like you used to. I believe there's probably people that would play Mario Kart that way if given the opportunity, because it may be how they played back in the day. Cryptic says there are Wii games that support Pro controllers, so I can see that you can use alternate options if you didn't like motion, right? Like there's that possibility as well. Let me play classic Wii Sports again, and that's honestly like I would buy a Wii remote to bowl. That is the main reason I would buy those accessories, is just to be able to bowl and play Wii Sports. Would I play Sunshine and some of those other games? No. Would I play Metroid? No, not a chance. Not a chance. Sunshine says, yes, classic Wii Sports. Let's go. Let's go. Nate says, I'd stay away from that Wii name. And I mean, I could see where you're coming from with the Wii U, but I feel like we're far enough removed now that if the Wii controllers came out and were usable on Switch, and I hope they do some cool variants, not just the white and the black, but like I love my like Mario themed Wii remotes, right? I think I have Mario and Peach, and I have like a red nunchuck for those. Like I love that kind of stuff. So um Jenna says if they look at my New Leaf playtime this week alone, they'd realize how happy they could make me. Imagine New Leaf with New Horizon graphics. There you go. Cryptic says, remember Mad World? Oh, yes. Yep. Wii was the last system to get Madden, right? It wasn't on Wii U? I don't remember. I know EA was still supporting. So Nate says maybe adding Wii to NSO, then it'd be okay, right? And so yeah, that's literally where I'm going. Like if Wii games get added to Nintendo Switch Online, give us the chance to play. I don't know why they would sleep on that. I mean, we've got everything up to the GameCube controller. Granted, it takes an accessory, it takes an adapter to use these, and they were made for Smash. Remember, Nintendo was, from my understanding, was sued because of the Wavebird. So I don't know if they would ever be able to put the Wavebird back out, but maybe they do wireless versions of GameCube controllers. I could see them doing that if they announce NSO games. And I think it's very possible. I think this is the generation. This is the generation that like, and they might do they'll probably do a refresh of the NES controller. The Super Nintendo and the 64 controller don't really need it, but they keep adding to that service and making that service just better and better over time. I know personally, I like being able to go back and play with those classic controllers. So I would take full advantage of it. But well, we are over an hour. These shows have been crazy fun, you guys. I can't thank you enough for showing up live. If you are free at 3:30 Eastern, Monday through Friday, we're doing this live right here on YouTube. And of course, they're going out after the fact. If you want to be a part of the conversation, please leave a comment on YouTube, leave a comment on Spotify. I'm trying to reply on Spotify. It's a little bit messy right now. Like they're doing a lot of updates, so it's a little bit tricky. I can't see all of them at times. I don't know, it's confusing. But one of the things that is so important for me is for you guys to have a voice in this also, right? So even if we don't agree on things, I'm not going to like shut you down. I want to hear your perspective. I want to hear why you may disagree with me. It doesn't make us like enemies if you don't agree with me. It's okay. Everybody's got differing opinions. What's important for me is that we have conversation, right? And this is silly gaming stuff. It's not anything serious. But I mean, I saw somebody in my comments this morning that was like, Mario Kart as a live service game, hell no. And I'm like, well, why? Like, I want to hear. I mean, I already know the answer, but I want to hear more reasons, right? Like because I'm not opposed to changing my mind and hearing different perspectives. So if you got thoughts on this stuff, make sure to leave it in the comments after the fact. If you're here with us live, like it's totally cool as long as everybody's being cool. So that's all I ask. Like, but it's super important that that you can have a voice in this because I think that's what it's all about. It's all about community. So you guys are amazing. I appreciate you all so very much, and we will see you in the next one. Bye now.